God bless you, family. I'm a changed man for life. Thank you for stopping in and checking out my channel. Thank you for stopping in and checking out this video. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, please take this opportunity to do so. Smash that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so that you are made aware when new content drops. Welcome to chapter 4 of Lifer Talk. Glad to have you all with us tonight. The guest I'm going to bring on is someone that is no stranger to me. If you all have noticed, I kind of have a little pattern going so far in that everybody that I'm interviewing are people that I know personally, have spent time around. It's not just a cold interview, like I just met someone and I'm interviewing them and don't know their story. I know these people's stories very well. I know this man's story, but I want you all to hear it from him. So I'm going to bring my guest on, let him introduce himself. My brother, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Jim, man? How
What's
you
going
doing, brother
on,
Jim?
man? Why don't
What's
you
going on,
introduce
man?
yourself to the people?
Hi, my name is Kenneth Moore. A lot of people might know me on the street as YG or Arsenio. That's what I go by on the streets. Um, I've been arrested for attempted murder on one of my fellow members from the rival from the game I used to be from, the game that I was from. Um, I did 22 years, off of 19 years, the life sentence.
Ooh.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes,
okay.
yes,
And
yes,
how old were
yes.
you at the time that you caught your life sentence?
22 years old.
22 years old and caught 19 to life. All
On
right. Well, let's
19,
get
yeah.
into it, man. Um, let's talk about where you grew up at. Where were you born and raised at?
South Central Los Angeles. I was born and raised on the east side,
Okay.
strictly. My
Right.
mom, my dad, I've been on the east side from the Nickerson Gardens all the way to the low bottoms.
Okay.
And I moved
And
around,
right,
periodically. So yeah.
right. And about what age were you when you really started getting in the streets?
Mm, I'm gonna say in my teenage years when I really started getting in the streets. I just got
Right.
what they say caught up with the things around you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It be your fantasy, the things around you, and it became, eye opening for me to go out there and want to do the things that I do,
Right.
that I did.
Right. And so you mentioned your mom and dad. So you grew up with both your parents in your household?
No, sir. I grew up in a single parent household.
Mm,
My father was married. He was married with somewhere else,
okay.
and yeah, that's how that was. I grew up in a single parent household. My mom.
And did you have siblings? You got brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have two. I have three. I have two brothers, three brothers, and three sisters. Four sisters.
And where are you kind of like, are you like close to
I'm
being
the
the
oldest.
oldest or you are the oldest?
No, I'm
Okay.
the oldest. I'm the
You're the
oldest of
oldest.
them all.
You're the oldest. So is it fair to say that they kind of looked up to you when y'all was kids, when y'all was young, they was kind of looking at you and what you were doing and kind of you were leading by example, even at a young age?
Absolutely, no
Right.
question.
Okay. So you're growing up in LA on the east side. Um, you starting to hit the streets. What did that entail? Did you mentioned being from a neighborhood before, so I'm going to assume that you were like a full-fledged gang member doing what full-fledged gang members do.
Yes, well, it really started off with just really at the age of 9 and 10 years old, watching all the drug dealers around me, watching all
Right.
the gang members around me. I started off by getting paid just to watch out for the police, for the
Hmm.
drug dealers. You know what I'm saying? $5 was a lot back in the 80s,
Right.
to a kid, that's 9 and 10 years old. So I didn't think it was nothing, naive, not knowing
Right.
nothing, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So uh, yeah, that's how everything started with me. It started in stages
Right.
and then moved my way up and then starting to get into things.
Right. What was what was your introduction to violence like? Because you were talking about you were 9 years old and you was already doing a little bit of hustling.
Hmm.
At what point did you start getting involved in violence? And like what levels of violence was it? Was it just like regular little fist fights the kids have at school, or was you like thrown into big boy stuff where you was putting in work for the neighborhood, or tell us how that went?
No, it started off just like that in stage. It started off with fights. Then from fights, it led on to other things. But that's how I started off, fights, after school, during school,
Right.
going places to the going downtown to the movie theaters, going to the malls. It
Mhm.
started off the fights, and then fights, it led on, it progressed.
Right. And at some point, it got to what I'll call big boy violence,
Yes.
and you ended up catching. What, did you have a murder case or an attempted murder? I'm sorry, I missed that earlier.
Yes, yeah. I had attempted murder. This is,
Attempted
yeah, I
murder
call
case. Okay.
yeah, attempted murder. Yep.
Okay. And you said you got 19 to life, and you were
Yeah.
22 years old at the time. How
Yes.
long? How long did you fight your case?
Not even that long. I caught my case January 23rd, 1997, and we got found guilty in 98.
Okay. So about a year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a lot, when I tell my story, a lot of people trip out. First of all, that I took a deal for a life sentence. 25 to life was
Hmm.
my deal. And then
Hmm.
my whole process from the day I was arrested to the day I hit the reception center was less than 90 days. Because people be
Yes.
tripping out, like on murder cases, people be in the county fighting 3, 4, 5 years sometimes trying to fight their case. So that would,
Yeah.
yeah, for a year is pretty quick. And so
Yes. Yes. Yes.
you
Yes. Yes.
you catch the chain, and where do you go for reception?
From reception, I go to. I believe I'm in Wasco.
Oh, you hit Wasco,
Wasco
okay.
State Prison. Yeah, here, Wasco State Prison.
And is this your first time going to prison, or had you been to prison before?
No, this is my second. This is my second rodeo.
Oh, okay, so you had been to prison before,
Yes.
so you already kind of knew what the business was a little bit. But
You
now
already know.
you're going with a life sentence. So
Yes.
when you had went to prison before, what did you hit? Like a 2 yard, 3 yard? Were you on the 4 yard
2 yard. I
your
was
first
at
time?
Solitaire.
Okay, so
Solitaire
you was
State
on,
Prison. Yeah.
right. And for anybody that knows, Soledad is an old prison, and I'm not familiar with their level 2 there. Is it cells or was it dorms?
Yeah, no, it was cells.
And it
Cells. They
was
got a dorm on the yard, but it was cell. I was on North Yard.
the little
Right
bitty
near.
cells, right? Them old
Yes. Oh
time,
my
yeah.
God.
Like
Yes.
they show in the movies with them little small
Yes.
cells.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so tell me now, because now you're going back to prison, but now you're going with a
Mhm.
life sentence. So you're going to hit a level 4 yard.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Let me back up. When you got found guilty and got sentenced, can you tell us a little bit about how that felt? Can you even describe it? Because I know some people have a hard time describing what their emotions were or what they were feeling at the time, if they were feeling anything. When you got found guilty and then ended up going back for sentencing, what was that like when you heard that you were getting a life sentence?
Well, first and foremost, when they told me I was getting a life sentence, I ain't even hear it. That's
Mm.
how, what I'm saying. So the week, a couple of days go by, and Saturday hit, and that it was a Saturday. I ain't gonna never forget. It was a Saturday, and I was like, man, these mom just gave me life.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? It's
right,
like, man, I know they ain't just give me no line.
right. It didn't sink in right away.
No, so I'm thinking they playing. So they called me on the mic, and psychologically, I'm out of it. So they called me on the mic to come because I'm in the game module.
Mhm.
So they called me on the mic. I come out. They calling me to come out to, to clean up and all that. But I'm thinking they calling me to tell me, hey man, we were just playing. You see what I'm saying? I'm
Right,
already
right,
gone.
right,
So yeah, psychologically, it didn't hit. When it did hit me, I was just like, wow. So now I'm carrying myself in up to the level 4 and up to this institute to back to this prison with a whole different attitude now.
right. So you hit Wasco for reception. At some point, you end up going to the main line, right? You end up going to your first spot.
Yes.
Where do you land at?
Salinas Valley State Prison.
Woo! What year was that?
That was 1998,
Oh my
99.
goodness. Okay,
Matter of
yeah,
fact, it was 99. I hit there in 99.
yeah.
I
I
hit
hit
C
there.
yard.
That's right. I hit CR in '96. So in Salinas, for those that don't know, Salinas was off the hook.
off the hook.
It's crazy right now. If people be watching all the stuff that's going on in prison right now, Salinas, that name is always ringing. But that prison always been known for being a straight war zone. So you hit Salinas Valley State Prison. You a young man. You barely beginning a life sentence. What's going on in your mind? What's your like day-to-day life like? What is your thought process like?
Well, first of all, I'm on my first level 4.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm from LA County, so if you can survive the county, you can survive any yard. That I'm on that. So I'm coming with my east side low bottom tactics. I'm coming with a whole different mind state. I got life. It is what it is. What's going on? Now I'm trying to pay attention to everything that's around me. You know what I'm saying? So this is a whole different atmosphere, a whole different mindset. You got life. You ain't never going home. You ain't heard nobody going home. So this is it.
Right. and that's the way you looked at it, right? Because for
absolutely.
Me, I was telling I got interviewed on Dub's channel. Shout out to Dubs. I was telling Dubs that for my first few years, I still had hope of an appeal in my mind. I wasn't totally letting it sink in that I'm never going home, because in my mind, my appeal is going to go through and I just got to hang on for a few years and everything's going to work out. But the majority of people from day one are like, this is it. This is me. I ain't never going home. And so that was like how your mindset was. You had just accepted it and you were just like ready to function.
Well, at some point, I still had the fantasy going, just like you, with my appeal. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get somebody. I ain't got no money,
right?
So I gotta find me a legal people. I gotta find somebody, and they gonna sell me a dream. If I hear, oh yeah, I know how to do this, and they get to talking about anything about law, I don't know nothing about law. It's gonna say, oh yeah, okay, you know what he's talking about, and he ain't got to know nothing at all.
All he got to know is a little bit more than you.
That's it, and that's all. So yeah, I had that going, but the whole mindset is like, I gotta survive. I can't focus on that right now. This is my first level 4, and I've been hearing so much. So I'm in survival mode. I'm in political mode. These are the modes I'm in, and I'm just trying to observe, learn, pay attention, and do what I have to do.
Right. Now, a lot of people that be on YouTube that do prison stuff insist on playing the tough guy role. And maybe that was your mindset too. I was scared to death. I had never been to prison before. It was my first time coming to prison. I come with a life sentence, and inside, I'm scared. You know what I mean? I was young too. I was 21 years old. Had never really done no serious time. I'd been in and out of the county. You know what I mean? I think the longest I did maybe was like 6 months, if that, at one time in the county. Now here I am on a level 4 yard doing life. And it was scary. I keeps it real. You know what I mean? Maybe back then I wouldn't have. Back then I'd have been like, nah, I ain't scared of nothing. But the truth is, it was scary. Did you, for you, like, in your heart, was it scary, or you was just like looking at it just like, I'm going to do me?
You have some moments. You have your moments, and you human.
Right.
You're human. You have your moments, and I have my moments. However, like I said before, I didn't been in the county jail, man. I done seen some stuff.
Right.
I'd have been kicked off the main line, sent to the game module, to high power. Right. So I done seen some stuff, and that was where my fear was at. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was where my fears at. So that has prepared me for this.
Right.
So not saying that when I got there, I'm all, it was because you're going to an unknown. You don't even know what's going on. You're going to an unknown. And when I got there in 99, everybody was on lockdown due to the Crips and the Blood, due to the X-rated, X-rated being on the yard. So it was all that going on.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's a whole lot of, okay, what's going on? This and that, then they're gonna put me in a cell with somebody. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
So yeah, you do come in there with that a little of that.
Hmm.
Like you say, I'm human. So
Right.
yes, I'm gonna have a little fears here and there, but I'm gonna shake through it.
Right.
I'm
Right.
gonna
You
have to. At
got no
some point,
choice.
I'm gonna have to. You feel what I'm
Right.
saying?
Got
So
no
I can't
choice.
let that. I can't let that take over me like that. But I didn't see some horrible stuff being in that county jail, and that was where my fear was at. Like, "Man, I ain't gonna even make it up. You don't ain't gonna even make it up out of here."
Right. Yeah. The county was treacherous
Yeah.
from
So yes,
9,500 all the way through.
everything,
The
and I
county
done
was
been in all
treacherous.
of them. The Wayside, the game module, 47, 40, all the way to 32, 34, 21, 23. Open up Linwood. So
Mm,
I mean, man, listen, I didn't been all. So like I said, I was already from here prepared for what's to come.
right.
So when
Right.
I
Right.
got there, it was already like I just need to know from fill out the place and fill out a few people, understand the politics, because the politics is different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So once I understand the rules and regulation,
Right. So you say y'all were on lockdown when you got there. Once you get off lockdown and you come out to yard for the first time, what was that like? What was that whole vibe like?
oh, first it was like almost like a reunion because you there with so many people. Once
Mm,
kites start, making their way. Oh,
hmm.
this person on this yard, this person. So you're going out there to trying to see who's out there, what's going on. You trying to feel the atmosphere. You're trying to feel
Right.
like, the energy. You know what I'm saying? Do we get cracking right now? Because you like you say, you hear so much, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? And I
Right.
I, I want to get cracking. I ain't trying to be on no second wave. That's the mindset I had then. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm like sitting there looking like, yeah, man. But once you start feeling there, it's a feeling. And that's crazy that you have to go.
Right.
That's just crazy now that you can sit back and like, wow, like people don't understand that the trauma that prison
Right.
causes as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Trauma. Um, so how long did you stay there at Salinas Valley?
from 99 to 2003.
Okay. And then did you bounce to another level 4 or did your points drop to level 3?
No, I went straight to another level 4.
Okay. And about how long was it that you stayed on level 4 before you ended up going to a 3 yard?
I went from Salinas Valley. So that's from 99 to 2003. And then from Salinas Valley, I went to Calipat.
Mm, okay.
So I went from
Another
Calipat.
war
Yeah.
zone.
You feel me? You
Right.
feel, you feel, from one place to another. So I go from Salinas to Calipat, from Calipat from 2003 to 2006. From 2000, and I made it because the lockdown.
Mm,
Now, let me share something. I believe I got there 2003. I got to 2003 already trying to shut the yard down because they wouldn't give me my property.
right.
So I'm coming here already like they calling me the troublemaker. Hey man, this dude right here, man. Hey, they had to send people that I knew to come talk to me. Like, hey, we're gonna get your property. Don't worry about it. But and from at Calipat is when 2005 is when I had the notion of this can't possibly be it for me.
Right.
I came to the door. I had the keys to the building. I had two knives on me. I'm highly intoxicated in marijuana.
Right.
And I'm sitting at the door and everybody asking me to come when I'm coming out. And I just sit there and I'm really high, bro. And I'm just like, this can't possibly be it for me.
Right.
Every day I gotta be on defense. Every day this is damn near getting tired.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that was my experience, my from the level 4 of Calipat in 2005 before I left in 2006.
That's crazy. And for all of us lifers that have made it home, we all have that moment, right, where we just realize, like, wait a minute, man, what the heck is this? And for some people, it takes longer. Some people, it's earlier on in their term. I came across some cats that they started doing stuff in preparation for board, like had barely hit their main line for the first time, and they was already talking about, nah, someday I'm going home, and they started doing good right away. Then you had knuckleheads like me that it took me 20 years of being in there before I really started thinking about, you know what, maybe there's hope. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So is that from Calipat? Is that where you end up going to level 3 from there? Oh, let me hold
Yeah.
on. Let me backtrack a little bit, because you said something that a lot of people ain't hip to. You talked about because of being on lockdown, your points were able to drop.
Yes.
And that's the same with me. When I went from New Folsom on a 180, I was able to go down to a 270 and then to a level 3. It was the same thing. We're on lockdown so much that you ain't going out and getting into nothing. As long as your celly is cool and y'all don't get into nothing, you able to hit a couple of annuals and get your points dropped down and maybe skedaddle on to a 270 or to a level 3.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't know that. They just think, oh, you must not have been about doing nothing because your points dropped. And it's not even that really, that you ain't about it. It's just, the opportunities sometimes don't present itself, which in the long run is a good thing. I look back now and there's like so many things that happened that I'm grateful to God that
Absolutely.
I wasn't there at the time and didn't have to get involved, or it took place when a different building was outside and I wasn't. And you know what I mean? And that enabled me to be able to keep my points lower and eventually come home. But so then you went to level 3. Is that when you went to Ironwood?
Yeah, that's when I went to Ironwood. And before the piggyback on what you were just talking about, so far as the points dropping and us leaving, and that's exactly what it was. So here it is. I had that, what I told you, that notion in 2005 when I came to the door and just had that thought. And now here it is 2006, and they calling me to the council's office, and we on modified lockdown.
Mm,
So we only got visits and canteen coming to us. And we ain't no movement, ain't no yard,
right.
ain't nothing else popping. So our points was able to drop. And when he called me to in there and he was explaining to me, hey, your points dropped. Do you want to go to a level 3? And it was something that was a thought. So I want people to understand the mindset. I was thinking about, no, I'm gonna
Right.
stay here with the homies.
Right.
You feel me?
And people don't
So
understand that
yes.
there's people that will tell you. I had a cat when I was in New Folsom and I was getting ready to get transferred to a 270. My neighbors, it was homies, and old boy gets in the vent and he's like, hey, he called me by my nickname, right? Like, hey,
Mhm.
you really should think about this because you're probably not going to like it. On 270, they be this and they be that, and they do this and they do that. And, you ain't going to like it over there. And the mindset of some people is crazy to me. But what's crazier is that I was actually like taking into consideration what he was saying. Was like, you know what? He might be right. I might get there and there might be a gang of stuff going on that I ain't cool with. And I might have to get myself up out of there and, the hard way and well, the easy way, really, because we know what to do to get out of a spot
Absolutely.
we don't want to be
Absolutely.
there. But
Absolutely.
crazy that you had, we know
A
now
thought.
that going to a level 3 is better. You get more privileges, there's more going on, you got
So
more
you,
action.
yeah.
But that thought, because of the mentality that we had at that time, the mentality you had at that time,
Hmm.
you actually considered saying no.
And it was just only a small consider, because I just told you I just had to, hey, what you gonna do? Now I'm
Right.
telling myself, the other part is telling myself, here's your opportunity,
Mm, right.
right? So I went and I told him yes, right? Bam. So I went to the cell. Now I told you I have the keys to the building.
Right.
So now I can't even tell nobody that I'm getting put up for no level 3,
Mm,
because now I'm finna deal with what you just said. So it was after some, then my bunkie, he ended up getting transferred. We ended up going to Ironwood together. So
okay.
they called him in there and he ended up going, and I ended up raising him doing the whole on the level 4. It was his first level
Right.
4. So I ended up raising him, and he's out right now doing good right now.
That's right.
So I told him we can't tell nobody.
Mm,
And he was like, why? I said, because they're gonna try to keep us here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They was like,
Right.
well, I'm like, so we go to visit, and when I had the trash pack and all that, I'm hugging people. So everybody like, hey man, why y'all? The homie like, why y'all hugging YG? They was like, oh, you don't know, like man, YG, oh, he for the league.
Mm.
And my homie pulled me to the side. I ain't gonna even say his name, but he put me to the side and like, hey, we gonna run the yard, me and you, and we ain't for to run nothing. 'Cause I'm for the leave.
Right.
I already transferred, but just the look in his eye was like, don't go.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people like, well, if I ain't going nowhere, I don't want you to go nowhere. I want you to stay right here with
Right.
me.
And be
So
miserable with me.
yeah, I didn't understand, you know, saying now I didn't understand then what I know now that
Right.
I was on a different journey
Mm.
somewhere else, and you know I successfully went it to Ironwood.
Right.
You
So
know,
you get down there to level 3, and what kind of shock were you in, and just about how different a level 3 from a level 4 was? Or was it that much different for you? Or did it like trip you out? Like, oh, dang, what they got going on here? Or what was that experience like of going from a 4 to a 3?
well, as soon as I got there and made it to the orientation building, and they found out I was on the yard, I got a lot of kites saying, "Hey, don't come on the yard politicking because they're gonna get you off the yard. We
Right.
want you to stay on the yard."
Right.
So I'm like, when making it to a level 3, once I got out there, is the youngsters.
Mm.
Now I'm still thinking I'm young, but it's younger than me. This is where the gang members is at,
Right.
but it's also where opportunity is at.
Yes.
Now, again, my transition is not going to be I'm fit to go over here and I want to get myself together because I'm
Mm.
still have a reputation to that I'm holding on to, trying to say,
Right.
hey, I'm trying to
Right.
save face. You know what I'm saying? So I don't
Right.
know how to get there yet.
Mm.
I just know it's opportunity
Right.
here. Vocation. They had AANA. You know, they didn't have a lot of groups.
Right.
So, but they have vocation, education, things of that nature. And so how do one get involved in that and still be who he is? You
Right.
feel me?
Right. How do you keep that
So
mask on and still be able to slide up into the positive stuff,
you
and not
feel
have to
me?
peel that mask off for too long and get exposed?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. Right. Right.
And that's what my struggle. Um, because I left in 2009, so my struggle was like that for the first 2 years
Mm.
until I
Eh,
was able to start indulging into groups like
right.
NA
Right.
and vocation. I was in carpentry, and that's something I just, they make you sign up for. It ain't something I say, oh, I want to go take carpentry or I want to go to vocational. No, they just gave you that, and you just go with the flow.
Right. 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 You just get that ducket one day you've been
That's
assigned,
you feel
and keep it
that
pushing.
that
So
part.
so that's a good segue into, so now you're doing that now. You're going to vocation, and you say you're looking for little opportunities to do some positive programming. But in your mind, are you like really like, okay, I'm doing this because this is going to help me go home someday? Or is it just because I know with me, when I first started like going to Vogue and going to college over there in Ironwood too, it was more, it wasn't so much for like, okay, someday I want the board to see this. It was like, I just want to do something different and occupy my time, and better myself just for me. You know what I mean? Were you already like looking towards the possibility of going home? Or was it like on just some like, who knows, at least let me have it in my pocket in case I need it later? Or what kind of get down was it?
Well, going home still wasn't even on my mind. I ain't
Right.
even still ain't knew who was going home. I ain't know
No.
nobody still was going home.
Like Keith Sweat say, nobody.
So that wasn't even a thought. I still came with my BS.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I still came with that. I still was indulging in certain things, but again, I'm still trying to find my lane.
Mm.
So I believe an incident happened. It was a few guys on the yard, and I walked past them, and what they do every morning is they come up with a word, and then they'll take the word that this is the word for the day, and everybody got to come out tomorrow with the definition and the sentence with the word of the day.
Right.
And I thought that was cool. But right, but how do you go over there with him?
Right. Right. Right.
So this is what I'm going through.
Right.
So one side is wanting me to go, man, go over there and get involved in that. The other
Mm.
side, like, boy, you. Mm-mm. So
Right.
one day, I had the courage, and I went over there. And I said, "Hey, man, I'll be sitting noticing what y'all be doing. What y'all be doing?" They explained to me, and they said, "You want to get involved?" And I said, "Yeah."
Right.
And that was the first step of me taking the initiative to say, "Hey, man, I'm gonna do this. I don't care what nobody say."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I still straddled the fence.
Mm.
So it wasn't, you know, I still straddled the fence.
Right. So you're doing that, and just the same way opportunity allowed you to go from a 4 to a 3, now opportunity comes up for you to go from a 3 to a 2.
Hmm.
Tell us about that. What was that transition like?
Oh, that transition was dorm living, man. That was that was like because now I'm accustomed to I'm still level 4.
Right.
And I took that from the 4 to the 3, and I'm taking it to the 2. I'm just moving in a whole different manner. And this is like way out to me. This is like, oh yeah, yeah. This and let me tell you something. So but on my way to going to the level 2, I had a homie. My
Mm.
one of my big homies told me, like, oh man, stay with me. Don't go to no level 2. You ain't gonna like it over there. You're gonna be right back over here.
Mm.
Right? Yeah, whatever. I'm going. Right. So I go over there. When I go over there, I it was a point where I said I should have listened to him
Right.
because this is not for me.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? These people ain't even been where I've been, and they under a whole different script that I ain't with,
Right.
or that I ain't accustomed of being around.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that was it was open freedom so far as moving around wise. I'm not always cooped up in no cell. I get to move around. So it has its minuses and its pluses at the same time.
Right. So what was it like for you? 'Cause cause I went to the same spot you did. I went from Ironwood to
Hmm.
Chuckawalla. When got off the bus at R&R in Chuckawalla, and they walked me to the building, and I walked in the building and just seeing an open door for the first time, seeing 200 people just running around, and it was loud in there, and there's movement everywhere, and it was crazy. It was too much. Like that first, when I walked in the door, I just was like, what the heck is this? Because, like you say, I was used to being in a cell. I'm used to the pods being quiet, people being respectful,
Hmm.
ain't all kinds of moving
Hmm.
around, and
Hmm.
it was just crazy. You know what I mean? What was that like when you actually walked into the dorm for the first time and just looked around? How did that hit you?
Oh, when I hit the yard, first of all, when I hit the yard, I had June and my brother Stone was already
Right.
waiting for me at the gate.
Mm,
So they greet me, woo, and then we go to the when I go in the building, I'm looking in the building, I'm like that too. I'm looking around like, oh yeah, this ain't gonna do it for me right here. Then they talking about your bunk is right here. You got people for to hang out by your bunk. Oh hell no. No, oh
right.
yeah. Slide me something. You feel
Was
me?
it was
That's
it
what page I was on. Slide me something because
was it
I
still
ain't
triple
just
bunks when you got there? Did they
yup,
still have 3-man
yup,
bunks?
yup, yup. My brother was on a triple bunk. He was on a triple
Mm,
bunk. I was on a double bunk, uh, and he was on a triple bunk. We was in the same queue.
mm, right. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, so that atmosphere was like I say, its ups and its downs. It
Right,
does. Because when you get there, you like coming from cell living and coming to dorm living, it's like a little kid too.
right,
Because you like, oh yeah, I'm finna run around. Oh yeah, it's going down. Because I get to try all get to use all my little devious things I done on. I get to use this here.
right,
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, they slow. They ain't. Boy, I'm finna run tricks over here.
right,
I still have the mindset. That
mhm,
mindset going up in there just like that.
right. And you say you got there in 2009?
Yeah, I got there 2009.
Okay, and then I came a year later, 2010.
Absolutely.
So, and that's right around the time 2010, 2011. That's where the door started to crack a little bit, and a lifer here, a lifer there starts squeaking out.
Yes.
And that's around the time that for me, that's where I got my awakening to having hope. What was that like for you? At what point did you say this can happen? I can go home and I need to start working towards that?
It was at Chucky's.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, it was I got there in 2009. It was a guy that was he was in SAP. He was in SAP, and he had attempted murder just like me. And he went home. He was the first person I ever heard and first person that I see with my own eyes walk out that gate.
For the people that don't know, what is SAP?
SAP is a substance abuse program.
Right. And that's like it's a class where people that got people that want rehabilitated drug recovery, right? Drug rehab.
Yes,
This
it's a
class
drug
is like that.
recovery, drug rehab, and for lifers, they knew most of us didn't have drug problem. We had a behavior problem, so they altered it for it to put instead of drug as a behavior problem
Behavior
because
modification,
yeah,
right?
yes, because we have
Right.
behavior issues.
Absolutely. So now you see a lifer go home for the first time, and what does that do to your mindset?
Well, it gave me a little hope, just a little bit, because I want to see some more. Because yeah, I'm gonna tell you something with the mind play or how it play tricks on you. Because you looking like people say, oh, well, you got to be 115 free for this many years. Oh, you can't have no, because we ain't been to the board. I ain't been to the board yet, so I don't know what to expect or nothing. I'm only can go off of what other people experience. You got and what they seen. And that mess with the psyche. You know, you like, oh man, I don't know, my record ain't clean, so I don't know what they want me to do 1,000 years before I go to the board and get clean and
Right.
go out until you start seeing like 2011, 2012. That's when it was like, oh,
Mm.
hold on now. That's like one more. We had Jose, we had all of them start leaving. I said, hold on
Mm.
now. Now it's time to get together. I think with the yeah, it was time to get it together then.
Right. For me, it was because I seen Justino walk out. When I seen Justino walk out, that's when I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's on now." That really like woke me up to like, "Oh my god, it's true. Lifers can go home." Because up
Which one
until
was
then,
Justina?
the brother used to work in the canteen, South Side. He was a he was a
Yeah.
Christian brother at the time. Justino was already a
Tall, was he
Christian brother. Yeah,
tall?
yeah,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah, he was already a Christian brother. I think he became a Christian in YA. So when he came to the joint,
Yes,
he was already doing his Christian thing.
yes.
Yeah,
I
so
know exactly what you're talking about.
he when he walked out, that was right around the time when I made my move to start walking as a Christian. And but when I
Hmm.
seen him walk out the door, I seen him walk out that gate, that's what like really like hit me like, oh man, okay, this is this there's something here. There's something here.
Hmm.
Let me start working towards this. So I'm gonna make the assumption because I was there and I seen it. You start hitting the groups. So we're hitting self-help groups. We're hitting every self-help group possible. Anytime a sign-up sheet come around, I'm getting on there because I need this group because I need to
We grouping it
learn
up,
that
group.
I need to learn this stuff. I need to apply it to my life. I need to be able to
Hmm.
explain how this is helping me become a better person and how it's going to help me um, be a better person when they let me out and how it's going to help me stay out and all that.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about what your experience with doing these groups is like. A lot of people don't really understand, right? How people this at one point hardcore gang members, hardcore criminals, this involved in violence in prison and like you said, getting over and taking advantage and doing the tricks and you can how you can go from that to then all of a sudden being this person that is acting right for lack of a better phrase. Now we acting right and we doing the things we supposed to do and what for me I'm going to say it like this and I've said this before on other videos. One of the main things that I tripped on in these groups, because myself, I never been a racial person. Even when I was a teenager and I was out here, banging my neighborhood, and out here where I grew up at, blacks and Mexicans was cool for the longest. It wasn't until like the late 80s that there started really being some little beef and we started separating. So when I got to prison and I was taught you can't mess with them, you don't mess with them, we're aligned with the whites, and it blew me away, right? But I had to adjust. That was my home. I was doing life. I wasn't going home. I had to adjust to what the rules and regulations there were. I never developed into a racist person, but I developed into someone that followed the rules. You know what I mean? The rules on the level 4, the rules on the level 3. I knew what it was. So when I started taking these groups on the level 2, and we started getting up in these groups, and now you're sitting in most oftentimes a circle, and you're sitting in a circle of men. You got blacks there, you got SAs, you got whites, you got Asians, you got a little bit of everybody. You got people from all walks, and we're sharing stories from our childhood. We're sharing stories from our teenage years. We're sharing stories of stuff we've been through. For me, I started now seeing people as individuals versus that dude's a Crip, that dude's a Blood, this dude is a Paisa, this dude is a homie, this dude is this. Because we all had so many similarities in our stories. All of our stories were basically the same. We came from similar circumstances, single parent households. We came from poverty. We came from gang infested neighborhoods or areas where drug sales was going on. But there was so much that we had in common that you start building bonds. And sometimes people don't really, they trip out. I've even had somebody tell me I was lying. Now, granted, it's a level 2, so it's different. On a level 4, it probably wouldn't have happened regardless. On level 3, it probably wasn't happening. It happened. It was a little bit where you see friendships develop between people of different races. On the 4 yard, it's just straight up like, no, we don't mess with them and they don't mess with us. You know what I mean? Period. But by the time I worked my way down to a level 2, and especially going to these self-help groups and sharing stories with people and hearing people's stories, you start developing like real life friendships and bonds with people that people outside, people that ain't never been to prison or people that ain't never been in that environment don't believe or don't understand. Was it like that for you too?
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you, for me, my experience, I didn't allow prison to do me like that. I didn't allow prison to place hate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is business.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I'm from LA, from South Central Los Angeles, from the East Side. I grew up with is Mexicans and blacks. Spent the night at their house. They spent the night at my house. We ate. You feel me?
Right. Right.
So coming in this situation, I didn't allow it because it will. Person allowed to build hate and to be racist, to be able to say, I can't hate that Mexican, or I can't hate that nigga, or I can't hate that white dude, or I can't. It allow you to do that if you allow it. I know whatever's going to transpire with us at the time on the yard, this is business.
Yes.
And I'm going to treat it as such.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because in the rules in that lifestyle, if you're not willing to smile in the same person's face that you're willing to do something, then you're playing the game for the wrong reason. So why would I want to stick out like a sore thumb by letting somebody know that I can't stand them that bad?
Right.
You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Everything I do is a strategic move, so I'm not even gonna set myself up for that. So I'm not gonna allow myself to be placed in that after that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So now you're doing these groups, and you know, just like I do, because we were around the same people, that there's some people that had their motto was "fake it till you make it." They weren't even real. They were just chrono chasing. They were chrono chasing. They just wanted to fatten up their portfolio to go sit in front of the board and be like, "Look at all this stuff I did," but they weren't really allowing change to happen in their heart, in their mind, in their life. They weren't really processing the stuff we were learning and making change as a person, right? They was just trying to do whatever they need to do to make it to the board.
Hmm.
And you've seen what happened when they go to the board. They come back mad and disappointed because they're not going home because they weren't able to really speak on their change and tell the commissioners about who they are today versus who they were in the past and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
At what point was it real for you from the beginning, or were you just kind of thinking the same thing? Okay, like, okay, let me just stack this paperwork, or was it really about let me try to do something new and let me change regardless of if I end up ever going home or not?
Listen, boy, I started off like chrono chasing.
Yeah.
And I started off chrono chasing because I still didn't have the hope of going
Mm,
home. But
right,
if I didn't even understand the C file, how important C file is. The
right.
C file is, you know what I'm saying? Give a damn about no C file. None of that even matter. So I'm gonna tell you something. It was when Casper went home. When
Mm,
Cass went home, and I'm gonna tell you why. Yes, we have seen a few people go home before Cass, but
mhm,
I'm gonna tell you what it was with Cass. Cass just had two or three fresh 115s, and I'm
mhm.
talking about they ain't even a year old.
Right,
And he went in there on his first hearing and got a
right,
date.
right,
When we talking about somebody with not nobody I know, he sleep two beds over. I'm talking about we go to group together, we do this together, and that's when
right.
I told myself, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah," because I'm. This is what I'm gonna share. Yes, you're right. You can fake it till you make it, but you going in there with your 12th grade, 11th grade, 7th grade, 6th grade mindset
Mhm.
to some college people, some people that's that you cannot run. You can't shoot that to them.
Right.
Yeah, some people can know how, and it's their time, and Cashel was one of them.
Mm,
Um, I tried that, and I got a 5 year denial.
mm.
So I went in there. I had to take it seriously, and I understand why it's hard for most people to take it seriously because you have to dig deep, man. You have to go face some stuff,
Right.
and that's not easy to go face. Especially when you got to really go in there and share this with some people you don't even know.
Mm,
You ain't even shared it with your own family, but here I am. I got to go
right.
share this with some people I don't even know.
Right.
And some people is not comfortable. It don't feel great, but it had to be done.
Right. Now, when you say you got a 5 year denial, for anybody that might be checking the video out and don't know what that means. So we go to the parole board and they have the option to find us suitable for parole or to say, no, you're not ready yet and deny us parole. And they have different lengths of time they can deny you
Hmm.
for. So what Kenny is saying is that he got a 5 year denial. So that meant at face value, it meant he was not going to have another opportunity to sit in front of them for 5 years. There's people that get the minimum denial they could give you is 3. That's what I got my first time. When I went to my first board, they hit me with a 3. Then the next one is a 5. The next one is a 7, 10, and 15.
15.
And we seen people get that 15.
Boy, off the top.
KD came out of there with that
Yeah, but
15 years.
15. Yeah,
And
thank God he home right now.
man, but even getting a 5, it's like, dang, I done been down 20 years or whatever it may have been for you, right? Now they're telling me 5 more years. That's hard for a lot of people to fathom because people like at my work or at my church or what people, when I share my story and I tell people about some of the people that he got hit with 7-year denials, 10-year denials, they like, what do you mean they had to do 10 more years after they already been in prison
Yeah.
20? Yes, that's what happens if you go up in there
Mhm.
unprepared or go up in there with some nonsense. So you went
Go
to your
up in
first
there.
one, you got you a 5-year denial. When did you
5 year
end up going
denial.
back?
I went in 2014, got 5 year denial. And again, I had the same situation happen with me when I got my license. It happened with the 5 year denial. I woke up one day and just saying, I know these people, man, how they gonna skip 3 and give me
Right. How they going to jump straight to a 5? I ain't doing nothing wrong. Why they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, man, what the? And I knew right there. That's when Tracy Webb, my
Mm,
boy, he like walked up to me and he told me like, Jizzle, you gonna continue to play with these people or you?
hey, that's how he talks too. I could picture his face right now when he was talking like
And
that.
I
That's
looked at him and I was like emotion to move. I was like tears because I didn't understand it then, but I was in like total denial. I'm like, I'm for the ride, just like and stubborn.
right.
I'm like, man, I'm for to continue just ride this, and I'm gonna stick with my story. And
Mm,
if I'm like thinking in my life, if I change my story now, then this and this and this. And he helped me redo everything, rechange my thought. I went and took SAP, took all these classes, important. I, I I made it a must for me to dig into whatever. I went the extra mile. I went and got me 2 tutors,
mm,
to re-educate myself. I had math tutors. I went and did everything.
right.
I went and then that's when I started transitioning to Kenny.
Right. Right.
Checker
Right.
Wallace when I started transitioning to Kenny, like
Mm,
and start going to group and then giving this is when I got into the mindset of I don't care what nobody think.
mm,
And if they still want some problems, they can get it.
right. How hard is that? Because it sounds easy at face value, right? It's like, you know what? I don't care no more. I'm just going to do me. But really, how hard is that when you come from the lifestyle you come from and who you were in your neighborhood and who you were, like you say, you had keys to
Hmm.
spots. You know what I mean? You were a somebody amongst your people. And then to make a decision in your life that you know what, I can't even care about all that. How hard was that for you? Or was it not hard for you? Because for
No, it
everybody
was
it's different.
complex. It's complex. It is. It's because you built up this. Do you know who I think I am?
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? You
Right.
didn't build that person up. And that person has been praised. That person has been looked up to. That person has led and been followed. So you looking like I care about what these people and these other people think about me at the time because we talking about my legacy. We talking about how it feels to be praised. And if you keep it real with yourself, it's a good feeling for somebody.
Right.
Yeah, boy, I need. It. Yes, it is. So I don't want that because it feel good. I don't want that to go. But
Right.
you know what I'm saying for this because they ain't for the it's for to be a whole totally different feeling over here
Mm,
that I don't even understand that's about to come. So yes, it's complex. It's complex for me to transition, but at some point you just can't. You just got to let go. You just can't give. You just can't care,
right.
especially
Right.
when you're talking about you moving forward of being a better person because it got to the point where I don't want to do it for me to go home.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? I got kids out here. I want to be a better person. I want my mama to have something to talk about other than
yes.
my son is in prison with a damn life sentence.
Right. Right. So now you're really pushing and you go back to the board, right? And
Mhm.
I'm talking about now when you get found suitable. What was that like? What was that board hearing like? What was it like when they told you they was gonna find you suitable? Talk about that whole process.
Well, that was a process. I was prepared. I had my tools and everything ready. I went in there first and foremost. I went in there. I was the last one to go in,
Mm.
and for 2 weeks, nobody has been found suitable.
Ooh.
For 2 weeks,
Right. So in
nobody
your
has been found
in
suitable.
your mind, it's like the board ain't feeling it right now. They had in a bad mood. Ain't nothing happening.
So for 2 weeks, here I am on this week, and I'm the last person to go in there. And again, ain't nobody been found suitable.
Mm.
So at for like 2, 3 minutes, anxiety kicked in for me to understand that's exactly what it was. Anxiety is like, they ain't finna let you go home, man. How are they gonna just deny all these people
And
and
there's
you
people
think you
for the listeners or for the people watching the video. When he says 2 weeks went by and nobody went home, don't think that that meant like, oh, one or two people. There's three, four, or
it's
five people going to board
people
every
for every
day.
day? So we talking about 2 weeks with nobody getting found suitable.
Right.
So I go in there, but before I go in there, after speaking to my lawyer, he already like, man, I think you got this. He said, man, I ain't had nobody in 2 weeks, man. This is crazy. Woo, but I think you got this. Woo. So I go in there like, man, when it's time to go in there, I go in there and shoot my shot. I'm speaking to the board, and they sent me back out, and they wanted one question. They asked one question. It was like, why did you maintain the lie for so long?
Mm.
We were just talking about being in denial and not going forward, taking responsibility for the things that you have done.
Right.
And then when they imposed that question, I had Mr. Laban, and he was like, "Yeah,
Mm.
Mr. Moore, let me, why did you maintain the life for so long?" And I just looked at him and I told him, I said, I maintained the life for so long because I fell up under a distorted belief, which is under the internal code of the game, which is the code of silence. I wasn't
Yes.
coming here to tell you or nobody nothing,
Right.
and I failed. And I told him I also continued to add salt to the wound of Mr. Edward Tower by continuing to appeal my case.
Mm.
Being inconsiderate. And for that, I failed. The DA jumped up and said he conceded and walked out.
Mm. Imagine that. That's crazy.
And that's just what it was. And he told me, he said, man, he just said, wow. He said, I didn't, you've been talking God, but I didn't expect that, you to say. And I said, that's exactly what he said. No, I understand. I'm saying that's just what it was. I fell up under a distorted belief,
Right.
which is the code of silence of the game. Well, I wasn't coming here to tell you or nobody nothing.
Right.
That's the mindset I still have.
Right.
And they
Because
seem to
even
just,
though they have it right there in black and white, we are taught you don't cop to nothing. You could catch me with it in my hand. I'm gonna say no. It's not what you're
yes,
talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
So
And
you go through the rest of the hearing. They get to the part where they deliberate, right?
hmm
And they send you out of the room. They are in there talking and doing their deliberation, deciding what they're going to do with you. What's going through your mind when you're out there in the holding tank waiting for them to call you back in?
anxiety again.
Right.
So, I told you he said he conceded. So when I heard him but didn't hear him, because they won't let
Mm.
you. You can't look at the DA. You ain't supposed to look
Right.
at the district attorney. So I'm sitting there and I go back and hold the tank. So I asked him, I say, hey man, the lawyer coming in, he talking to somebody else. Say, hey, he said, hey, did that lawyer? So he said, yeah, man. He said he can see. He said you going home. And I'm just looking at him like, yeah, right. I want to hear from them. I don't want to hear it in my head. I don't want to hear nothing you saying. You just told me you ain't had nobody get found.
Oh,
Yeah, so I don't want to hear nothing from you right now. I want to hear from them because it's like you hear something but you didn't hear it,
right.
but you heard it. So when I go back in, He's talking to me, and he threw about like five. He gave me like five jewels, and I didn't pay attention to none of them because I'm caught up in. He didn't say suitable 2 times. I didn't hear it. I think the first time he said suitable, I think that's when I just like,
Right.
'cause I'm like, these people ain't finna let me go home. They playing, man. That's the mindset I had. Like, they ain't finna let me go home. Then when he like told me, he said, I think you gonna be okay out there. And that's when it really hit me. Tears fell.
Right.
And I was like, oh, then my lawyer gonna tell me, man, just them you crying? You better leave me alone.
Right.
You better leave me alone. Yeah, I'm crying. Because this time I'm going home, I'm gonna see.
Right. 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 Man, that it's hard for me when I talk about it, right? Either in my own videos or when I've been on other people's podcasts, and I talk about it's hard to really describe what that felt like, right? Because I don't know if it's just human nature or what. We're happy, like you said, the same with me. I was crying, I was happy, but there's still that little seed of doubt in the back of my mind because, as we know, and maybe there might be somebody listening that doesn't really know about the board process. The board saying, "Yeah, we're finding you suitable for parole," really don't mean nothing. That's just a
Mm-mm.
recommendation they're making to the governor. The governor has the final say. The governor can either go with the board's recommendation or he could say nah and go against it. So
Absolutely.
that little seed of doubt is still in the back of the mind, like, okay, cool, thank you. I'm glad y'all saying I'm suitable, but now I gotta wait this 5 months
It's another process.
and find out what this man is gonna say. Because it could be totally different than what y'all are saying right now. So that's a
Absolutely.
whole another stressful process. So
And I
talk
had
about
Governor Newsom.
okay. So
Governor
you had
Newsom just came in. He
right,
just came in. So, governor just coming in, he finna make some noise.
right. He don't want to
And
look
boy,
soft and he don't want to look like he pro
oh
uh
my God.
criminal or none of that kind of stuff. Right. So
Absolutely.
your mind is probably going everywhere, like this fool gonna take my date, ain't nothing happening. So now you go through your process and you get the word, right? I always tell the story. I don't know if you've seen any of my videos or the interviews I've
Hmm.
been on another podcast, because the day they called me to the program office, you was in the cube with me. You was in the
Hmm.
queue
Yep.
when they called me, McGrath, report to the
Hmm.
program office. And I was like, oh man, my mom, something happened to my mom. And you were like,
Hmm.
nah, fool, you going home. And I was like, man, I ain't going home. Something bad happened. Because really, they don't never call you to the program office for nothing good. They
Yeah.
either call you because you in trouble or there was a death in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
family or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I always tell the story about how you were telling me, no, you going home, you going home. And I went over there and they in fact did tell me I was going home. Did you go? They called you to the program office to tell you?
No. So I'm on level one.
That's right. I forgot you had
I
went to
made
a
it.
level one,
Yeah, I made it all the way to a level one. I'm in Solitaire level one.
which was pretty new for lifers because they hadn't let lifers go to level one for a long
Absolutely.
time.
Yes, we could see the freeway, we could see the cars on the freeway, all that. So I'm in education. So I go to education and my teacher, and we had you had a teacher's aide, which is another inmate.
Hmm.
And he said, man, let's check. He wanted to check. He like check. And he went and he behind the computer and he looking and he just stood up and stuck his hand out, and I'm like, man, like, what are you talking about? He just turned to the computer and he says, no action taken.
Ooh. And so
So,
what that
so
means for the people is what?
the governor didn't take no action, which means I'm going home.
Right. Right. So what was your immediate thought? How you see that on the screen? What does that do to you?
First, I start tearing up, getting emotional,
Right.
because I'm like, okay, they ain't taking no action. That's the first stage. So I had to go back just a little bit just so you can understand the last part, to understand this last part. So in 1993, I was fighting a murder and attempted murder,
Mm.
and they dismissed the case and let me go all the way out the county to the when they buzz you out the door
Mhm.
and had the detectives right there to refile on me. So they
Woo.
arrest me right there and refiled that case on me.
Mm.
So we're fast forwarding now, that's why it's a different stage for me because now, okay, they say no action. Now I'm like, I'm waiting. It's a process. So the CO gonna come with a ducket at nighttime. If I get the,
Mhm.
I'm gonna get the ducket for in the morning. So I
Right.
get the ducket. He come through. I get the ducket. But he playing though. You know what I'm saying? He taking his time passing out mail. Here I am, anxious, trying to see if I'm, So I get the ducket.
Look, I got my ducket still.
I got
I got
mine in my photo album. Yeah, I
I
still
got my
got mine.
ducket laminated and posted right here with me.
Yeah, I got it in my photo album. So I was sitting there with my ducket. He gave me my ducket, and I'm still like in the morning, still. I'm all the way inside R&R. Still have
Mm.
that. They gonna play games. You
Dang.
got to go through all these hoops and hoops and hoops and hoops. All of it didn't hit me. I didn't really until I got all the way outside
Mm. That's
because of
crazy.
the trauma that caused from that
Right.
situation caused me. But it
Right.
was like I'm going home. They was like, it's a process. You got to go through so many hoops and chains. That's why I say it's easy for you to come in, but it's
Yes.
hard as hell for you to.
Man, come on. That's crazy.
Yes.
So here it is, the day you get released. And this is people always ask me this. What was the first thing you ate when you got out? Where'd you go eat? What'd you go eat?
My wife took me to the Cheesecake Factory.
And did you actually
That's what
have
she.
cheesecake or did you have like some
No,
real food?
I had some real food, and I'm gonna tell you the trauma. See, this is what people don't understand. Yes, you home. Um, First I start saying thank you while we was driving
Mm.
because Uh, we don't understand and I say we as in we, the ones that done time don't understand what our family had to go through and the process they had to go through
Right,
to come
right, right,
see us.
right.
We
Speak on
think
that.
it's just get on the car and come up there and see us. It's a process.
Right.
And it hit me right there. Two things hit me. The sun is way different on this side and on
Yeah.
then that side.
Right.
That's crazy that it's like, but it's like that. And it's just a whole different shine, a whole different brightness. So when we got to go eat, they came out there and they gave you a plate and they gave you a knife, your spoon, and then when I seen the knife, I panicked.
I did the same thing.
I just like two things happened to me driving. So we driving and she already had my phone for me
Mm.
for when I came. She already had the phone in the car. So I'm on the phone talking to a few people, letting them know I'm home. Yeah, I'm here. They just let me out. And the police pulled right up on the side of me and I threw the phone. And I tried to retrieve it from my fiance at the time before when she was my fiance. And she's like, is everything all right? And she's like, I know you just didn't. I like, hey, some
No,
things
no.
is
For,
gonna
for for
take.
people that's wondering, like, what is that? Why did he throw the phone? Tell them why. Tell them the significance of that. I know why, but tell the people why.
Oh, because in prison, I had a cell phone, and you get caught with the cell phone, you is going down, and you ain't supposed to have no cell phone. I had a cell phone, and when the police come, that's the first thing you're gonna do is throw that damn cell phone.
So when you were
And
driving and on your phone and the
phone,
police
I
pulled up
seen,
next to you, those
yes,
instincts kicked in
yeah,
and
like,
you threw
and she's like, you can have a phone out here, right? I said,
right.
"Hey, listen, work with me,
That's that's funny.
just
That's a
work
good
with
one.
me."
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So you went and you went and ate. What food did you have? What was the actual meal? Do you remember?
Yes, steak. I want to try the asparagus. I've been here because I've
Mm,
been hearing about it seeing it on TV. It's been a
right,
big old crave, big time. I said I wanted to try this, and I had mashed potatoes and gravy, some real mashed potatoes and gravy. I just
right.
wanted a steak, and I had a ribeye.
Ooh,
I got the ribeye, steak, and mashed potatoes and gravy and asparagus, and it was nice to just for me being around people.
Right.
I think for me that was more of anything like I'm just and my family is tripping off me because they seeing me moving. I'm like, because we're not accustomed to being around people, then we've been around kids. I helped my little cousin and I was shaking like this is a
Right.
baby.
Right.
You know, all this is new to me. You just got to come out here and get reacquainted with certain things, society that you left, and some things you just got to get acquainted with.
Right. How long you been out now?
I've been out since 2019, going on 6 years.
Mm.
5, going on 6.
What's life like for you out here?
Oh, it's challenging, but
Indeed.
it's challenging. Uh, uh, I think the work we put in there, really with these groups and um, getting ourselves together is prepared us for here and let us know that the tools wasn't just for in there. It was prepare you for to be out here, and you have to have them same tools out
Right.
here. And one of the major tools you have to have out here is patience,
Mm. Right.
because you in a where you at in life, you know, getting yourself together. You still out here with brokenness. You still out
Mhm.
here with hurt. You know,
Right.
you still out here with confusion. You still out here with loss. Um, these are the things you're still out here with, and you have to really. We yes, I reach out and talk to people and help people as much as possible, but I'm learning how to navigate. I work and come home,
Right.
and people ask me like, "Why you just work and come home? You don't trust the people out there?" I said, "It ain't the people that I don't trust. It's me."
Mm. Right. Right. Right.
That's
Right.
why I still do groups. I still do groups. I got group Wednesday. So I
Right.
still do groups because I didn't do all this to come home. I did all this to stay home.
Yes. That's a good way to put it too. Talk really briefly because we're gonna start to wrap it up pretty soon. But talk
Hmm.
briefly what it's like coming home to a relationship that already existed. Because I'm, on all my social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, I have a lot of on Facebook they're called friends, on Instagram they're called followers. I deal with a lot of prison wives groups. You know what I mean? Or there's a bunch of females that are either married to somebody in prison or their boyfriend is in prison. A lot of them are lifers, and there's a certain expectation in their minds of what it's going to be like when they do come home, right? And even for those people that are in there, for the dudes that's in there doing life or
Hmm.
doing long periods of time,
Hmm.
we had expectations of what it was going to be like to come home. I was single when I came home, so I wasn't really tripping off of um what it's going
Being
to be
with
like
someone.
jumping fresh
Yeah.
and straight. Yeah, you had a
Yeah.
relationship already in place and came home to that. Talk a
Hmm.
little bit about the challenges of that and what it's like.
Well, first, I advise, first shout out to all the women's that's holding theirs down and all the men's that's holding their women's down as well. Because you have a few men's that's holding the women's down. But shout
Right.
out to all the women's that holding their men's down. I was told that for me to go to a transitional home, right? They're
Mm.
like, hey, can you go to a transitional home? And I was like, I want to go, I want to go home to my family. I want to go to no I
Right.
already been locked up. I don't want to be.
Right.
But the reality of it is that when you come home, it's one, I love you, miss you. Oh my God. Ooh. But tomorrow, their life continues.
Right.
You still there looking for someone to assist you to these places to get your ID, to get your social security, to go get a job. And these people don't have time for that.
Right.
So you take the burden off of them once you remove it. And I'm doing this, and I did this in with a relationship. It with a relationship, and not I don't need to come home straight to her.
Mm.
I went to a transition home. It takes the burden off of them.
Right.
These programs helps you and assist you with everything I needed. A job. I had a car. My brother gave me a car when I came home, so I was blessed to have that. But I utilized all my network and the resources that was there for me.
Mm,
So my family didn't have to worry about they had to take. Only thing they were cared about is when we coming to get you on the weekend.
right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so the challenges in the relationship is communication. You
Mm,
have to establish that can make sure you have a communication. Um, Coming home, the expectation of people thinking we have to pick up where we left off at,
mm,
or uh, not understanding that we don't know nothing. So when what do you want to eat? I don't know what the hell I want to eat.
right.
I ain't been out here in 22 years. I don't know what I want to eat.
Right.
We looking for y'all or for the people to, well, listen, let's try this and see if you like this. Let's go
Mm,
here. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Um, all these things, even with family, I came home and my family was like, I had a call from my sister. Hey, you got your thing because this dude over here, hmm?
Right.
So and I took it. I got offended about it because I
Right.
just did 22 years. I just came home from a life sentence,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what y'all serving me with. But
Right.
my wife, she hit me with something. She woke my game up and she said, "Baby," she said, "the people only know the person you left out here.
The
They
old
don't
you.
know the new you.
Right.
They only know that person you left out here. So they thinking this is what I mean when people think you're supposed to pick up where you left off at. That's not gonna happen.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So they don't know you, so you have to introduce them to Kenny. They only
yeah.
know YG and Arsenio. They only know them
Right.
two people.
Right.
They don't know Kenny. So you have to introduce them to that person. And
Mm,
that's the challenges you have. Relationship, you just long as you have communication and understand that they not gonna be where you at. So you have to be patient with them too because they too are dealing with their own personal issues that they
mm,
don't know how to deal with.
right. They ain't
And
been
if you
doing
not
groups and going to
none of
classes and
that, none of
right.
that. And someone might be still stuck in their own ways. So this is why it's important for men and for women to know who you getting involved with and get to know the person before you move forward.
Right.
Because if you just moving in because you've been gone so long, you feel you have to just dive in. This is where it's all gonna go bad at.
Mm, right. Right.
Because now
Right.
you impede on somebody else's
Yes.
lifestyle or what they got going. You trying to alter their lifestyle to fit yours, and that ain't gonna happen.
That ain't gonna happen. Just gonna end up bumping heads. Before we wrap it up, I want to ask you. I do this on all my Life or Talk interviews. I'm gonna ask you two questions. But I'm asking them one at a time. First question I'm gonna ask you: give some advice to these young dudes that are out there in the streets right now. These cats that are in their late teens, early mid 20s, living that gang lifestyle. They just full fledged in the street. Tell them something.
Oh my God. I tell them this all the time. I know hurt people.
Mm,
And I know a lot of people just out there just lost. But I know y'all hear this all the time. It's only two places. It's really only two places. And prison is not prison no more.
all right.
It's a whole new different ball game. Um, there's a lot I want to say, Jim, to them because it's first of all, just know that somebody out there love you, man.
Mm,
Just
right.
know that. You don't know that because, I say this all the time: honesty, trust, and love starts with yourself.
Mm,
You can't give it if you don't have it within. You can't tell me you love me. You can't tell me you respect me. You can't tell me none of that if you don't have these things for yourself. So I think we have to just start loving ourselves. We have to take a step back and start looking at ourselves and like, hey man, I need to start loving me.
right. Okay. Good word. Good word. Now, the second question, and we're gonna wrap it up after this. say something to your 15-year-old self. What would you tell your 15-year-old self right now if you could?
Oh, my 15-year-old self.
Go back and tell young YG something.
I go back and tell my 15-year-old self, man, that it's gonna be okay and I love you.
Mm,
And it ain't your fault.
that's deep. That's deep, man. Hey, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming through. We're definitely going to link up again and talk soon.
Oh, no, for sure.
I don't know if you've been watching the episodes. I had Medley on here last time. And the very
That's my
first
boy.
the very first interview I did was my ex Celly with Chito. I don't know if you remember Chito.
Oh, I know. I remember Chito
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Ironwood.
Yeah, him and I'm supposed to be interviewing his brother pretty soon too. So
Okay.
yeah, man. But I appreciate you, bro. It's good to see you.
Dog, man.
I'm glad you're doing
Likewise.
good. I'm glad you're doing good. You're out here thriving. We're out here. We are out here. All of us ex-lifers that are out here are showing that the change really is possible. The rehabilitation really works.
Yes,
and that people can live good lives, man. Even though we made mistakes in the past, some of us did some very horrible things at one point in our lives. But change really can take place if you want it. And life is good, man. Life is good. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. To everybody that tapped in and checked the video out, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Y'all see I got the merch up and running now. If y'all interested in hitting a Change Man for Life shirt, let me know. But that's it. We're gonna wrap it up. God bless y'all.
Change Man for Life shirt.
That's right. God bless y'all.